For the first part of the experiment, we are going to take the 1 gram of benzoid. We're going to put it into this 125 Erlenmeyer flask labeled benzoid and ethanol. Using the funnel. We are going to take the 20 mils of ethanol that was in the other 125 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask, put it on the hot plate, turn it to 5. We wanted to get it to boil. And this 10 milliliters of ethanol we are going to place in an ice bath. Now remember, an ice bath is filled with ice. You add water till you get a slush. Then you put the beaker or whatever into it, and it shouldn't float around. Now when it starts to float around and move around, all you need to do is to remove some water. You may or may not have to add ice. If you have to add ice and put it in there again so it stays steady, doesn't like move around or float around. Now we're going to wait until the ethanol starts to boil. Now, as you can see, the ethanol has started to boil a little. So, what you're going to do is take it off the hot plate. Then you're going to add about 3 squirts of the ethanol, hot ethanol, and also clean out the funnel. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to remove the funnel. Now I'm going to put the ethanol and benzoid on the hot plate. Probably turn the hot plate down to 3, which would be good. Now when it starts to boil, I'm going to take it off and I'm going to swirl it. When it stops boiling, I'm going to repeat the procedure 5 times. Take it off, swirl it. Starts to boil again. Take it off, swirl it. That's 3. That's 4. And that's 5. I'm going to add 1 squirt. As I add the squirt, I'm going to try to clean the sides down too. Kind of rinse down the sides a little. Okay, I've added my 1 squirt. I'm going to put it back on the hot plate. Let it boil again. Once it starts to boil, swirl it around. When it starts to boil again, swirl it around. And the reason you don't let it boil too much is because you want to keep the solvent, and if it's boiling, you're boiling away the solvent. That's 3. That's 4. And that's 5. All right. So once again, I'm going to take 1 squirt, and I'm going to try to clean down the sides as I squirt it in. I'm going to put it back on the hot plate and repeat this. So, starting to boil, swirl a little, starting to boil, swirl a little, that's 2. Starting to boil, that's 3. Starting to boil, that's 4. Starting to boil again, that's 5. Now I can almost see them there. I got a few crystals. So what I'm going to do is heat it again. It's almost there. I don't want to add too much solvent, so I'm just checking it. Just a few quick heating up. Yeah, that's it. All of it is now in solution at the boiling point of the ethanol, and a minimal amount of ethanol was used. Now I'm just going to put this on the table for about 10 minutes and wait till crystals start to form. Now, 10 minutes has passed. I see the starting of the formation of the crystals. Now I'm going to take the benzoid and ethanol and put it in an ice bath for another 10 minutes. Making sure that the ice bath is properly maintained. And remember, you also have the ethanol cooling too in the ice bath. The ethanol and benzoid has been crystallizing or cooling down for another 10 minutes in the ice bath, along with the ethanol or the cold solvent rinse. I've taken out the vacuum apparatus, which is in one of your cabinets here, and all you need to do is hook it up. It should be already assembled, and for that you just take a little glycerin and put it on the spout of the vacuum. Then it makes it easier to slide in. Still take a little grease or glycerin, put it on the spout of the vacuum filter. It'll make it a little easier to slide in, and it'll make it easier to slide out when you take it apart and clean it. Okay? So, I get a piece of filter paper, just one sheet. I place it in the center of the Buchner funnel. I turn on the vacuum. I swirl around the crystals and the ethanol, and then pour it in the center. And to transfer it all, you're going to want to take about 2 mils, 3 mils of the cold ethanol, pour it in the Erlenmeyer flask, kind of use it as a rinse. Alright, pour it in, and notice you've transferred the majority of the benzoyl crystals. I'm going to let that run for 5 minutes before I take the crystals out of the Buchner funnel.